Hello, everybody. My guest today is Lars van Wieren. He's a SaaS founder with a passion for employee engagement. He's an ex-Google sales manager focused on making feedback better for everyone. Currently living in Amsterdam, father of 2 daughters, and building Starred.com. Lars, are you ready to take us to the top?
Absolutely, Nathan.
All right. What is Starred and what's your business model? How do you make money?
Yeah, so Starred is a software as a service company. And what we see is that every company needs feedback from their clients, but clients are pretty reluctant to fill in your very old-fashioned and never-ending surveys. So we try to make feedback better for everyone. And we do that by making it very personal, very short and sweet, and with the right follow-up mechanisms if there are problems. So it's typically a software as a service model. So we charge on average 600 per month.
Okay, so you'd say the average customer pays you about that 600 per month?
Yeah.
That's great. And put it on a timeline for me. When did you launch?
We launched about 5 years ago, and we opened 2 years ago in London. And our next step is the US. So maybe we meet in Austin, Nathan.
That'd be fun. So launch date, just to be clear, 5 years ago was about 2013.
Yeah.
Okay. And what have you scaled to today in terms of total customers?
Yeah, so we are working for 250 clients. On the one hand, for big corporates like Nestle, Heineken, DHL, but also for many tech companies like Spotify, Deliveroo, Takeaway. So those companies. And right now we are also making a little shift in focus because I think it's a typical startup mistake, especially in your first company, that you go too broad. So we were quite broad. I sometimes compare it with dynamite fishing in the Philippines. We just threw some dynamite in the water, and there was a lead, and we said, "Hey, you have a problem, we can fix it. You have a different problem, we can also fix it. We have never heard of your problem, but we're sure we can fix it as well." So we used to be like a very small fish in a very big pond. Obviously,
So who are you doubling down on today?
So we're doubling down on the it's called the candidate experience. So feedback about the recruitment process.
I see.
And for instance, we just signed Danone, and what we're saying to Danone is, hey, your candidate is also your client. So if you reject candidates, please make sure you do it in a proper way, because the next day they're doing grocery shoppings and they should still buy Danone.
So 250 customers paying that $600 per month average you just said, that puts you at about 150 grand a month right now. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
And where were you about a year ago?
So a year ago, we were around 100.
Okay.
So, and I must say right now, so that's also how you said about the employee engagement. So last year was also about, working on the employee engagement, because what I noticed is when you go from like 20 to 30 people, that you also need to change your organization.
How many are you at today? Are you at 30?
35.
35. Yeah. And where's everyone based?
So we have 25 people in Amsterdam, 5 in London, and 5 in Romania.
Okay. Europe, Romania, very good. And so 35 folks. Have you bootstrapped this, Lars, or raised capital?
Yeah, so pretty much bootstrapped. So we took some informal investments along the way. And last year we got a big loan from the Dutch government. It's a pretty cool loan if you're an innovative company.
Is it actually, they don't take equity, right? There's no covenants or warrants?
Yeah, there's a warrant for me. So it's So on the one hand, it's there's a warrant, so there's risk for me. But on the other hand, the interest is very low, and you can use it 4%.
Okay, so and how big was the loan?
1.5 million.
Okay, that's better than equity dilution, though.
Yeah, so exactly that. So we're using that money to ramp up, and we're planning to raise around next year.
That's great. How much? So before that big loan, you said you took a little bit of capital. How much capital have you taken to date?
So without the loan, it was about 750,000 euros.
Okay,
so pretty much bootstrapped. Yeah,
that was equity, though.
That was equity, yeah. So with convertible notes and everything.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so you have the loan today. So, I mean, I imagine you're obviously investing that, so you're probably burning cash every month. Is that accurate, or are you cash flow positive?
We used to be cash flow positive, but now we said, hey, if we want to go to the next level, and especially also if we, for instance, want to open up in the US, we need a war chest of money, and right now we are figuring out. Hey, can we make the business model? Can we accelerate when we have extra money? So it's really now making the sales marketing far more efficient.
Yep. So you're burning capital. I mean, are we talking 10 grand a month, 100 grand a month, more than that?
So now on average 50 grand per month. So that's, I think, okay, but it will accelerate.
Yeah. I mean, look, 50 grand a month, if you took $150, $1.5 million loan, that still leaves you plenty of runway. Yeah, very, very good. And then walk me through, landing these kinds of customers is difficult when you're broad. You've gotten more specific now, so it probably makes it a little bit easier. But what's been kind of your number one growth channel for acquiring these customers?
So it used to be outbound, so outbound emails. And I think also because in 2014, I was buying books on Amazon. And there was this, when you checked out, there was a book called Predictable Revenue from Aaron Ross. So that was like, hey, who doesn't want predictable revenue? And we were pretty much the first in the Netherlands. So when we were sending 100 emails, we got like 30 replies. So that has been a great channel for us, but it's a saturated channel right now. So currently it's more and more about it's content strategy, and especially like the candidate experience. So feedback on the recruitment process. That's a pretty new subject. So it's far easier to get leads, and we're now using like a land and expand approach. So we're talking with all the big, or not with all, but with many big Fortune 500 companies about the candidate experience. And once they are measuring that with us, we can also say, hey, you can do the onboarding via Start, employee engagement, exit interviews. So we want to rewrite HR as
so. Lars, what does expansion look? So land and expand is obviously a critical part of that is expand. What is a contract expand to typically from year 1 to year 2? By how much percent?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't have that top of mind, but obviously, if we are going, for instance, we have many fast-growing tech companies. So if they go into new territories or are serving more clients, that's like an increase.
Do you know what your net revenue retention is annually?
The net revenue retention. So right now it's around 0%. So you mean net negative churn or?
No. Opposite. So net revenue retention, the way you'd get to that is you churn 10% of revenue per year, but you add back 30% of revenue per year. So then your net revenue retention would be 120%. So okay. Let's go. So let's start with churn. So how much are you churning per year, annual revenue churn?
Yeah. So last year we saw a little increase in churn, and I think that's what more SaaS companies are seeing is that you had quite some technical debt, or you're building up technical debt. You built a product.
Lars, sorry, are you talking like 5%, 10%, 15%?
Annually, like 10%.
10. Okay, so 10% annual. So then the question is, if you look at the cohort you signed up exactly a year ago, 10% of them, you lost 10% of their revenue. That same cohort, did they expand by more than 10%? The ones that stayed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the net revenue retention is over 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And what are they expanding on? Is it number of seats or number of reviews? Like what pricing axes do you upsell against?
Yeah, so mostly it's so we don't charge per seats. It's more like if they go into different locations. So we start in one company and we land and expand. For instance, Spotify, we first signed them in the Netherlands and Belgium, and they're now using it in like 20 countries. So that's a great way of expanding. But also many upsells and cross sells in terms of. That they start with the candidate experience, that they also do like employee feedback, so that we sell them more of the same product, but like a different, And
as you're experimenting with these different channels, whether it's your old outbound model or your new content model, what are you willing to pay to sign up a $600 a month customer?
Yeah, so what we would be willing to pay, so we're aiming for that we can make the customer acquisition cost back in 12 months. But right now, and that's also what you're seeing when you're over investing, it's that amount is now higher.
Like also 16 months or 18 months or what?
Yeah, around that.
16.
Yeah.
Okay, so 16-month payback. Well, that would mean that would put you at what you're willing to spend about $900 to get a new customer.
900, no 9,000.
Sorry, you're right. Yeah, 9,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you spending most of that money? Is it just your content, salaries, and sales team?
Yeah. So, and that's also because outbound was pretty good for us. We didn't have like a marketing team a year ago. So we have like technical debt. We also have some marketing debt. So last year was all about with like 5 marketeers changing the whole process. And right now we see more out of pocket costs, marketing spend. But at first that was like very little.
Yeah. Do you have any US based teams yet, or at least accounts?
We do have accounts, but what we see is for just customer satisfaction or employee satisfaction, there are like a lot of solutions also in the US. Candidate experience is fairly new, so we're, for instance, making integrations with recruitment systems.
Okay, but Lars, you don't. Sorry, my question was do you have feet on the ground in the US? Do you have any salespeople in the US or no?
So no, not yet.
Okay, got it. But you're looking at expanding. Yeah, got it. Last question, just because we're running out of time here. You mentioned that you're looking to potentially raise in 2019. Obviously this number will change, but in your ideal world, how much would you raise?
Great question, and the honest answer is I don't know yet. So we're now making all these calculations. So what's the optimum amount? But it should be a typical Series A round.
So you're maybe like 2 million on a 10 million pre. I'd say is typical A in the States. Is that kind of a range?
Yeah, I think so.
Would you consider?
Maybe. Hopefully a bit more, but it depends. And let's see.
Well, I mean, you're doing $2 million right now about an ARR, so that would be, a little less than that, but that'd be like a 5x. It's pretty healthy. Lars, would you consider, since you're already familiar with it based off the loan that you took, would you consider raising venture debt instead of equity, or do you definitely want to do an equity round next year?
It's I don't know yet, to be very honest. It depends, but we already took some debt, and I think a logical next step would be like a venture capital round. Also because there's obviously more venture capital money than venture debt for SaaS companies, and especially when you're growing faster and you're burning more money.
Yeah, but it also is more dilution.
Yeah, that's true. But on the other hand, you don't want to dilute that much. But I rather now know within 5 years, hey, we'll start take over the world or not, than in 20 years and I keep all my equity.
Yeah, very good. All right, let's wrap up with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Jason Lemkin.
Number
SaaS guru.
Number 3, what billing tool do you use?
ChargeBee.
ChargeBee?
Yeah.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I have 2 little startups at $2. So right now, 5 or 6. I think.
Oh, wow.
Normally 8.
And married?
No, I have a girlfriend.
Okay. So not married, 2 kiddos. And how old are you?
I'm 36.
36. Wow. Okay. So last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
Focus, and not being all over the place, but just grab one thing and focus on it.
Guys, focus is critical. They are serving 250 customers, helping them really get feedback on their onboarding and recruitment process. They really specialize there as he's focused his customer base. They each pay about $600 per month. So doing about 150 grand per month right now in revenue. That's up from about 100 grand per month just a year ago. So good growth. They've raised 750 grand in equity capital, another 1.5 million in terms of a loan from the government. They're in Europe. They're burning about, call it 40, 50 grand per month, which obviously they can do because they've raised capital as they look to scale, especially in the States. Team of 35 people right now between Europe and Romania, 10% revenue churn per year, but that cohort also expands by 10%. So 100% net revenue retention, willing to spend up to $9,000 to get a $600 a month customer. So 16-month payback period as they look at taking over the review space. Lars, thanks for taking us to the top.
Impressive summary, Nathan.
Am I hired?
Absolutely.